honored. It's like too much. I hope he doesn't mind. I'm going to stand up here and try to say something. Forgive me. This is okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasaya, Vijaya, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvisesha Srinivadi, Pashishabesha Tarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Alright, so we thank you all for coming. Today is Monday, the 21st of July, the month of July, and we're in Vrindavan. And our process here is, especially if we have visitors, is to use the slates that have been given to you. It's an ice vocal technique. Please write your names in bold print on your writing. Everyone in the group can see and hear. Our program here, Maharaj, is a little different. It's a skills program and a drills program, skills and drills. It's not the traditional lecture at all. Our whole Canto course is to reflect many people maybe feel academically prepared. So we try to give them the facility to go on or just undertake their own study. The first thing we do is on our slate in print, the part, I always explain everything that we explain the what of it and the why. Without a doubt, if the system is a little new, we probably should be reason behind it. So the first thing is, if you write, please use uppercase, nice and large, and the Y would be so everybody can see. All right. And that when you're studying, the faster the learning and the deeper, the longer the study. All right. You show that. And we will go around the room again and please loudly as we have time. Everyone repeat it now. Here's something. Feel as well. When the study is right, these four senses are proven to be very effective. Alright, the next one is about study. Come back. Everybody can see your name. I couldn't say it. I know you can see it. I know you're in radio. Damodara Swami. Okay, did everybody get that? Right. You hear his classes? He tells me the temple's packed when he speaks. He's very popular. So we're lucky. Okay? So let's try really fast. Enough, and Dr. Cruz, and a short one now, the bridge. Largely. We'll do half and then we'll start again with half because we have quite a few people here. So when we revise, we'll increase the speed. We don't just go slowly. You see, I can do it and I'm proficient. Proficient means I'm accurate as well as fast. Alright, so now we need to go together. We say, move this to move. You can do that. Let's give him a Dr. Farouk. And Maharaj is, and let's see him again. Bharati. And we have, within the group, right?
The first secret is to compress text. If you just start going through text, your mind gets overwhelmed easily. It's overload. It's called mental overload. So what we do is we selectively pick the words that are the key words. We commit those to memory, and we also provide a simple signal. Because body language is 55% of communication. How much? 55% of communication, and some people minimize its power. But all of you who have gone to a drama, a play, can you remember seeing the actors move? You see that. So we capitalize on that. That's a fact. 55%. So in our first, we just do the English, and our first translation of the two Sanskrit slokas, we have the word nectar. Everyone nectar. Nectar. We're just going to extract the key words so that when you read, we can recall pretty much the text. Okay? So nectar. And our second key word is fruit. So we'll use a single. So then we repeat. Nectar. Fruit. All right. Our next key term in the next line is juice. So we'll just indicate that. Now very quickly we say nectar, fruit, juice. All right. The next one we have is vision. We're taking each line, we're extracting the essence word. In study, you compress. In writing, you expand. Okay? So let us go through those now. Nectar, fruit, juice, vision. All right. As we go through the text, the next thing we find, the key word is light breath. Light breath. So think about these words as we're saying them, because these are the words that will unlock the sloka for you and make you're able to recall it, paraphrase it actually. Maybe not memorize it word for word, you should be able to paraphrase it. So that word was light breath. And then, let's go back again. First one was nectar, fruit, juice, vision, light breath. And then the next one is sun. All right, we're going to add one more, and that is Krishna. Let's do our string through again, and then when we repeat, you'll see how those words expand into the translation. So quickly, one repetition again. Nectar, fruit, juice, vision, light breath, sun, Krishna. All right, now one other skill. Everything we do has a reason. When we're reading, the mind, as we know in study, the mind wanders. Yoga is control of the mind. That's the whole basis of the yoga process. So when we read, it's very possible as when we chant, the mind can be somewhere else, and mechanically the chanting goes on, the reading goes on, but nothing registered. Have you all experienced? Yes. It's quite a common thing. So one way to get the mind to focus, and we use instead of our index finger, we use the small finger. It reminds us of Krishna holding his flute. The secret in speed reading is to slide the finger under the text as you read. And the mind, the eye is forced. And the mind is forced to stay on the information. It also increases rate. So you get increase in rate, but most important, you get increase in concentration, which is the essence of yoga. So now I will read and you repeat, and I will emphasize the essence word. O Srimad Bhagavatam.
O Srimad Bhagavatam.
O nectar.
O nectar.
Churn from the ocean.
Churn from the ocean.
All the Vedic scriptures.
All the Vedic scriptures.
O most precious transcendental fruit.
O most precious transcendental fruit.
Of all the Vedas.
Of all the Vedas.
O you who are enriched.
O you who are enriched
with the jewels. Of all spiritual philosophical conclusions.
Of all spiritual philosophical conclusions.
O you who grant spiritual vision.
O you who grant spiritual vision.
To all the people of the world.
To all the people of the world.
O life breath of the
Life breath.
O
life breath of Vishnu devotees.
O Lord.
O Lord.
You are the sun.
You are the sun.
Which has arisen.
Which has arisen.
To dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga.
To dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga.
You are Shri Krishna.
You are Shri Krishna.
Who has kindly returned.
Who has kindly returned
to be with us.
to be with us.
And you find that helped you when you read, right? pulled out the keywords. So now when you read, you can paraphrase. You can remember. And remembrance of the Lord requires content. How can you remember Krishna if you don't have content? So these are ways for you throughout the day to recall what you've heard and said. Let's go to the next one. We're going to extract the key words in the next sloka. The first one is obeisances.
Obeisances.
All right. And the next one is reading.
Reading.
So we say obeisances.
Obeisances.
Reading. Okay. The next one is bliss.
Bliss.
We should pick words that help us get the flow. Right? They're not only structure words, but they give the flow. So obeisances, reading, and bliss. Now we add one more, and the next one is rain. Rain. So we say obeisances,
reading, bliss, and rain.
All right, the next one is love. Obeisances,
reading, bliss, rain, love.
All right, and then the next one is serve. Oh, important one. That's what we have to do, right? Obeisances,
reading, bliss, rain, love,
and
serve.
All right, and our last one is Krishna. All right, so now we'll go through, remember the essence words, and see if that helps you recall the content. Remember, remembrance requires content. How can you remember Krishna if you don't know anything about it? O Srimad Bhagavatam. I offer my respectful obeisances.
Unto you.
By reading you. One attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables reign. Your love of Krishna. On the reader. You are always to be served by everyone. For you are a most merciful incarnation. Of Shri Krishna. So the next one is all the things, because the book is Krishna, and Krishna is everything. So this is a nice list of the things the Bhagavatam is for us. So the first one is friend. And then companion. So read. Friend. Means teacher. So the Bhagavatam is all these things. Friend. Teacher. And it's also wealth. Okay. Friend. Companion. Teacher. And most of all, for those of us who are fallen souls, it's the deliverer. Okay. So now we're going to have it again. Friend. Companion. Teacher. Deliverer. And it's also good fortune. This material world is a very unfortunate place. It's good fortune. We'll try one more time. Friend, teacher, deliverer, good fortune. And now a repetition of the word bliss. Bliss. All right. And our last thing we're going to do is we're going to offer obeisances, but special kind, heartfelt. Okay, so repeat. O Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh my only friend. Oh my dear companion. Oh my teacher. Oh my greatest wealth. Oh my deliverer. Oh my good fortune. Oh my bliss. I offer my heartfelt obeisances unto you. Our final sloka reminds us of how much the Bhagavatam can give us. Completely transform. So we have a contrast of saintliness, and we have the contrast of uplift, and we have a request. And the last thing is to request become manifest in two places. Where? But not just mechanically by what? Accompanied by
Krishna, Krishna,
Right. I think this morning's class was excellent. He said, don't just deliver the postal message. Make sure you're delivering Krishna consciousness. I thought that was, he really knows how to hit things on the head. Don't just be the postman. I'm delivering Krishna. I can just repeat. But he said, but are you delivering Krishna consciousness? And then he said, be sure there's no hypocrisy. Good class. Did you all hear that? Yeah, very nice point at the end. Okay, O Srimad Bhagavatam.
O Srimad Bhagavatam.
Giver of saintliness.
O giver of saintliness.
Unsaintly.
To the unsaintly.
O uplifter.
O uplifter.
Of the very fallen.
Of the very fallen.
Please don't ever leave me.
Please don't ever leave me.
Please become manifest.
Please become manifest.
In my heart.
In my heart.
And my throat.
And my throat.
Accompanied by Krishna.
Accompanied by Krishna praying.
So beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama. Rama Rama.
Hare
Hare Hare.
It's amazing how the mantra brings an automatic gesture. Just seems to go with it. Okay, thank you so much. So we have those passed around, little prayer, you can tell me passed around. Okay. So today being this Monday of the 7th month, our program is to do overview breakdown one canto per month of the Bhagavatam. So the 7th month will put us in which canto?
Seventh
Canto. Okay, and I'll explain it from Maharaj that this idea came to me years ago, like 30 years ago, when I was in the Berkeley Temple and Hanuman Swami was there. And he's read the Bhagavatam once every year. He goes through it every year. I think Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj does the same thing. So Maharaj said the best way to continue the Bhagavatam is to have a cyclical approach. So that idea was born of his suggestion. And that is what we do in these classes. We start in January with Canto 1, and each month we do overview breakdown, and we try each time to go into more depth. And that way, repeatedly, like dipping the cloth in the dye, each time you dip the cloth, a little more color sticks. And you put yourself just like on the Vaishnava calendar. On the 10th of August, we will celebrate what?
Damodara.
It's going to come up every year. So we try to keep on track here. It's allowed us to be steady now for 3 years by following the calendar. And we do the same thing with the Gita. So that way we become more regulated in our studies. Because it is quite easy to let other pressing demands stand in the way. So this helps at least me be fixed. And I think some of you will become steady and helps you be fixed. So today is Canto 7, and we've already had 2 sessions on it. So what we will explain to Maharaj what we do with these cantos. We take out our slates. And we treat our slate like a computer. Now, we just have to sort of imagine that you all have either an iPad or a computer with you. And a computer is set up systematically. Okay? Systematic is the best way to learn. So we'll put a few code things here. We also use codes. We go from general to specifics when we study. What do?
General.
Right. You start with a big word, just like on a book. The title is general. When you open the book, the specifics are within. So study should follow logically from general to specific. It should also be, well, to have another S, sequential. What should it be?
Sequential.
In other words, you don't skip and hop all over the place. You work sequentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, as you do in math. In math, that's the best example. You can't start with the first grade math and skip to the 5th grade. You must go step by step. So the more we are sequential, the more solidly we are grounded, and you will feel secure. I guarantee you will feel secure. Alright, so we go from general to specific, and we are sequential. And the other thing we are is another S, we are systematic. What are we? Systematic. Prabhupada said and scrutinizing, right? Prabhupada said the Bible, the Gita should be studied scrutinizingly and systematically. Again, not random jumping here or there. Alright. So let us open our computers, and today we put SB. Now this sounds silly, but please write that. Because remember, you're imagining this is your computer or your iPad. So you have to open it up to the subject. So the subject is what? Bhagavatam. Right. Now another thing you're noticing in the class is that there is constant interaction. What is it? Constant interaction. When we study the 9 points of effective instruction, active participation is a critical point. It's critical. It's on the list of educational precepts. Active participation is critical because if the students are passive, they actually, after a short time, the mind wanders. So we constantly are engaging. We don't allow you to go to sleep. So I'll keep my eyes on you. In fact, the statistics show that the average attention span is 10 seconds. What is it? 10 seconds. It's pretty short. So what we do is we don't allow a break. Just so Maharaj understand, because everything we're doing now is based on research. It's not speculative or somebody's crazy idea. Everything we do is based on research. So we're going back to Srimad Bhagavatam, and now we go through the files to what canto? 7. Canto 7. Very good. So we write 7 to show up that that's where we're clicking. Clicking right now on Canto 7. And the computer opens up. When you open up that canto, you click it again, and you get a whole row of chapters showing up. And how many will show up? 15. Now, Maharaj, did you notice how many they knew that, right? They know that, and we're going to be going over chapter titles too. Because the tendency for the layperson is to think only the scholars can do this. Only the scholars can do this, or the Maharajas. But actually, if the process is correct, the layperson can also do it. So when you see the variety of ages and gender here, right, we get quite a mix of people. Yet the methodology we use is meant to embrace a span of different types of intelligence, different types of age, different types of culture, so that everybody is able to come on board. Now, it's inclusive, not exclusive. So we know that this canto has 3 chapters. All right. Now we're going to take help of study guides. That's another skill. You can't just plow into it on your own. You try, you may not. You look at that big shelf of Bhagavatams, and right, you remember what you thought? Oh, I'll never read it. I won't even try. So you have to take help. And where do we get help? Study guides. Right, when we were in college, universities, we have shelves of study guides on Shakespeare, on math, every subject. There were study guides to help you plow through fixed text in a short amount of time. So we use Narayani Mataji's breakdowns for study guides. So we use authoritative, which is covered book. Her study guide now, here's our next step. We've gone from general, SB, more specific, 715, right? Yeah. Now more specific. So we're going to put 4 dots. 4 dots, because the dots now are going to be our breakdown. The terminology used in the study guide is called overview and then breakdown. What's it called?
Overview and breakdown.
Right. Overview is the bird's eye view of the subject. Breakdown is the ground view, step by step. I'm on the ground. I can't see from the airplane, but I can take topics, topography, topography. I know what the subject matter is on the ground. And to go in further depth, this is Kopipuranada's term, underview. This takes you into the purports, into the commentaries by the Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada. That gives you the deep analysis of the text, which as a general reader you may not be able to decipher on your own. So we have overview, breakdown, underview. All right, so in our overview, we know 7:15 through my Bible, but for the topic breakdown, we use Narayani's breakdowns. And how many does she show? 4. In this canto, we will have 4 subdivisions. 4 subdivisions. Now, with the help of your charts, you have your charts, and I apologize because last year, this is old chart, it's really printed state. It's quite rough, and a lot of it dropped out. This color one here shows a little better. The mind map is a very effective study skill. It's a radiant configuration. What is it? Radiant. Radiant means like the sun. The sun rays go out from the center. So a mind map enables you to put all of the information around the central topic. So here we have 7:15, and we start up at the right, and we use the spectrum. What do we use? Spectrum. You notice I ask a question right away, and so we hear something 3 times. We use the spectrum to be systematic. And the spectrum starts with red and goes to orange and then green and blue to show us sequence. What is the spectrum? To show us sequence. And where do we start and where do we stop? So here we see pink, orange, green, blue. Right? That means 4 topics here on this map. And everything is coded plus sections. This is like chemistry. We use codes and we use symbols. That way right away, once we know the term, we can quickly revise, save time, and revise for study. Now on the side, we see 4, 3, 3, 5. What numbers are they?
4, 3, 3, 5.
Those indicate the subdivisions of each topic in size. So we know that that has to add up to how much? 15. So 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 5 is 15. So now we know how big each subtopic is according to the study guide. We're going to attribute some Krishna conscious terms to these numerals. We have the number 4, we have 3 2 times, and we have what? 5. So it's fun for us to research. What can we think of as 4?
4 Kumaras.
4 Kumaras. What else?
4
Right, 4 arms to Vishnu.
4 regulative principles.
4 varnas, 4 ashrams. So many things. Think of some, we call this a memory link. What do we call it?
Memory link.
Memory link. Right. Numerals might be hard to remember, but if we link them to something, this is called a memory link. 3, what can we think of as 3? Primos. 3 good avatars. What else? What's all? What else is 3? Yes. Visions. Right. And we're going to hear in this canto about Tripurari and the 3. Right. We were going through our book the other day of all the things that are 3. Okay, so you think of that and you have 2 3s, right? So you have 4, 3, 3. What do you think of as 5?
5.
That's always the easy one. Is there anything else? 5 elements. Right, 5 elements. This is a good way to get the brain going like that. Okay, so 4, 3, 3, 5. You see how the charts work now. Now let's put this onto our computer. We're just going to go across. We put 4 dots. And what are the numbers that are going to go under each dot? That represent the chapter size and the breakdown. So we have 4 and then what? 3, 5. We gotta get him. Yay. This is an inattentive teacher. She let the guy go by for 10 minutes. It's my fault. The teacher has to take responsibility. I have to keep my eye on him. It's okay. He has a good attitude. He doesn't mind. Very good. Because remember, if you want optimum retention, you have to do what? You have to hear it, see it, say, right. So the poor little fellow over there, he's not getting optimum results. You get 70% retention if you do four things. If you're just listening, you get how much?
10%.
No, listening is how much? 20%. If you read it, what do you get? 10%. That's all. That's not much. If you see it, what do you get? 30%. But what if you combine things? You start to get more power, right?
50.
So if I hear and see it, what do I get? 50% retention. But if I do four things, I'm going to get more impact.
70%.
Hear, see, say, right. What did you come to? 70% retention. Don't cheat yourself. That's why we drill the way we drill. They walk out of here, you see, they know the facts. And in the same amount of time, the idea is you're a better investor. If you go down the road to a bank and they say, our interest rate is, you get 10%, and another bank says 70, which bank would you go to? 70. Otherwise, you're cheating yourself. You're foolish. This is scientific. I'm not making it up. It's coming from Russell Underwood's program. Ours is different. So now, here we go. We have 4, 3, 3, and 5. That's the subdivisions of the topic. Now we're going to use a code, one letter, because we start easy, right? We put an H over the 4. That means our first topic is H. Right? We're just going to use codes. And as we go on our chart, our second topic is P. And that's a little device, right? USB device. You put it in your brain and you remember. Right, a pen drive. HP is the company. HP. All right, our next code is N. And then we end with V. And we say envy. No envy. Prophet said this society is meant for people who are non-envious and non-political. It's meant for love and trust. So if there's envy, he said, if there's envy in politics, he said that's material. And you see this whole chapter's about that. But work a lot. He didn't want to hear that. Envy in politics. He said, Krishna consciousness, that's ruled out. You're not Krishna conscious if you're going to be peaceful. H, P, N, B. Now, we're going to erase it and do the whole thing again. 4 dots. The numbers 4, 2, 3, 5. And we're going to put the code. H, P, N, B. All right? Now we're going to find out what they mean. H is for who? Hiranyakashipu. And P is for who? And N is for who? And B is for what? Very good. Now, if we want to go up to 90%, we're going to go to one more bank down the road. This bank offers 90%. Why? Because we preach. Why do the preachers know the books? They're always talking about it. So we have a study buddy program here. You three can be together. You turn around and you tell somebody else what you just learned. The minute you do that, it's called articulation. It goes very deep. And it means you'll probably remember it and use it. That's why the preachers know the books. You agree with that? Because they're constantly having to say it. The lay person, he's probably, he's going to be here, go home, and is he going to stand up in front of the mirror? Probably not. He's, talking to me. He's got to tell somebody else. This is a mission. Right? It's a preaching mission. All right? So erase the whole thing, put it on the board, and turn to your study button. Now you have to put these three here. Okay? And you turn to them, and you imagine you are presenting what we have just learned. You are now taking the facilitator role. So you all three now, you check, you see that everybody, and this is a good way to assess it, because you're checking on each other, you're tutoring. How's your facilitation? Are you facilitating another learner? Facilitator. Are you doing well? I mean, is she doing well, your student? Is she okay? Good. How's our cameraman doing? Are they facilitating you? You walk out of here, you'll know the Bible tells you. Okay. Everybody on board? You now know the breakdowns and the single headings. Urani Kashipu, Blood, Four, 3, 5. Bhagavatam 7:15. Now by 5 o'clock, that's when our class ends. We have certain what we call learning objectives. So by 5 o'clock when the class ends, we have to make sure that all of the students can have the ability to recite and repeat from memory the objectives, not just one or two. So that's why we use our process. Because actually books and education say that teaching takes place when the student is able to do it. Not just the practice and the introduction. At the stage in which the student will be able to do this. You will be able to stand up and you will be able to facilitate. That is the difference. You're training people to do that. At that point it's learned. Prior to that it's presented, introduced, practice. But at the point that the student is independent, can stand up and facilitate, at that point it's taught. And even the Vedic paradigm tells you that. You hear it, you assimilate it, you apply it, and you transmute it. At that point, you have completed your educational cycle, even the Vedic process. So everybody got that stage, stage 1. All right, now we're going to go back and take out your charts and give you the chapter title. Now this is something most devotees would say, oh, that's so hard. It's too much. Well, I can't do that. But you can. You can do that. Because now you have the support system for it, okay? So quickly, make a circle, put your computer vertically, this way, vertical. This is called a portrait, not landscape portrait. Most of these are landscape pictures. This is up and down, okay? Make a circle, and you put H inside for whom? And how many chapters are there? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you make 4 eyelashes on that circle. 4 eyelashes. This is revision for most of the people here. But revision is critical in Kali Yuga. You have to practice. Because from week to week, we forget, right? Yeah. So this is our 3rd time through for most people here. But you see already, they're pretty much ready to go. So now we extract, we look at the list. You have your chapter titles. You all have that list? Yes. Hold it up. Right, there it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, and you go to Canto 7. You will see the titles for all 15 chapters. So let's get everybody open that. If you don't have enough, share it with your study partner group. Your study group. Quickly find Canto 7. You will see, you keep it inside. You don't have to take them out. I have kept them stapled the things so you don't have to pull them out of the projection sheet. I prefer that you leave them in. It keeps them in better shape. Alright, so under the first 4, you'll see the name Hiranyakashipu how many times? 3 times. Right? So let's put it, we're going to put numbers here under eyelashes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to put a dot under 2, 3, and 4. Why? Yeah, because if we do anything that makes it easy, the whole idea how to make something hard easy, that's intelligence. If something is hard, the intelligent person will say, wait a minute, how can I make it easy? He's not going to try to make it hard. So, one way to make it easy is Hiranyakashipu's name shows up 3 times. Because we want to learn these really fast. The first one, we're going to use a symbol. Remember what we did? Equal. We use an equal sign. Because that's the key. If you read the first chapter title, it's called The Lord is Equal to Everyone. E-E. He's equal to everyone. That's the theme of this first chapter. How can the Lord be equal if he's showing partiality to the demigods? That's the question that leads into the subject. So he's equal to everyone. Now the next 3 are all Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu. So now we have to figure out, well, what makes those different? So in chapter 2, what's the key word? King. The king. He's the king of the demons. It's not just another demon. He's big time. Right? If you're the king of the demons, you've got to be the king of the demons. He's not just another little nuisance on the street. What's number 3? Plan. Yes, he has an agenda. I have an agenda. I'm going to perform austerities, and I'm going to make everybody suffer. That's what demons do. They perform austerities to cause trouble. So he has an agenda. He has a plan. So here we put K for king. For number 3, he has a plan. And what's his plan?
To become immortal.
He wants to become immortal, but you can't do that unless you become Krishna conscious. He's trying for the impossible. Demons are foolish. And he's asking for immortality from someone who can't give it. He still has a problem. What's the last one? He terrorizes. That's what demons do. They get their wounds and they terrorize. So we put a T. Equal sign K-P-T. KP. I know in the military in America, KP is kitchen duty. Cutting potatoes. KP duty, kitchen patrol. T. We can say cutting potatoes. Equal sign K-P-T. Alright, let's quickly put those whole topics. What's chapter 1 called? The Lord is equal to everyone. E-E. And this is proven in this chapter. The Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. Alright. What's the next one? Hiranyakashipu. The king of the demons. Yes, big time. We've got to attract attention. We're not going to say Hiranyakashipu, the medium level demon. Who's going to read that book? You want to read a big story, right? He's the king of the demon. What's his agenda in chapter 3? His plan to become immortal. That's his agenda. He's doing all kinds of stuff. Poor Brahma comes in and says, all auspiciousness to you, my son. Oh, forget it. He's ready to make trouble. Brahma was told later, don't do that anymore. Don't give boons to demons. You see what happens. Shiva had the same problem with Pratisthana. They chase you. They forget, right? His plan, that's his agenda, his plan to become. And what's the next thing he does once he gets the book? You put something in the wrong hands and you've got a problem, folks. Radhikashyapu's terrorizes the universe. Oh, guess what you just learned? 4 chapter titles. So turn to your study partner now and tell them, hey, the first 4 chapters of the 7th canto are dancing in the sewer. How are they doing, Maharaj? Pretty good? It's up to you to make sure they know. So if you're tutoring, then you're the tutor. The teacher can't handle everybody at one at a time. But if they take the responsibility, then we can check in. Does everybody know 4 chapter titles? How much? It's been a while, so I should get those years. How about Maharaj? Does he know anything? Radha Govinda Maharaj knows all 335 serial fashion. He's reading a canto a day. Memorizing a chapter a day, something pretty awesome. We're not quite up to that level, but we can always Okay, how are the other study teams doing? How many study teams have 100%? Raise your hands. 100%? 100%? 100%? You know 4 chapter titles now. Yes, this should excite your interest about the 7th canto. It's very dramatic. Of all the cantos, these stories are repeated the most, and with a lot of affection. When Chaitanya read this every day, the story was alive. Can't be that bad. Right. Okay, our next section is about P. And what's P? How many chapters are about P? 3. Did you notice how they all piped in? 3. And what numbers are those? 5, 6, 7. And how many of them have his name?
2, 5 and 6.
All 3 have his name, right? So that's the same. Prahlad, and Prahlad. So let's put 3 dots. That should help. Always look for something that makes it easy to remember. This is called learner-friendly. Just like your cell phones are user-friendly. Your study should be learner-friendly. It should not be a tedious bore. 5, 6, 7. Prahlad's name pops up how many times? 3 times. So that's a good start. It's a stepping stone. Right? What's the first thing we hear about Prahlad? Look at your chapter titles. Yes, here's the king of the demons, but what is his boy like? He's a saintly son. Now that doesn't make sense. Right? Usually demons have demon kids. Right? This little boy is not a demon. He was about to be killed by Indra, and Narada said, you won't be able to kill him. He's too pure. You can't kill this boy. He's a saintly son. So Prahlad is what? Saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, the king of all demons of all time. And he has a little prince son that's a saint. Wonderful. Prahlad is special, isn't it? Yes. So that's our first chapter. 5 is Prahlad, saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Now, this kid's a preacher. He's not a Bhajananasi. He's got a really heavy dad, but he's not afraid. He goes to school, and does he talk about politics and diplomacy and economics and divide and conquer? Does he do that at school? No. What does he talk about? Yes, he's preaching to his classmates. Look, my little classmates, you have to be what? Krishna conscious. So what's the title of number 6? Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Now, if you can convince demoniac kids, you're a good preacher. Is he a good preacher, Prahlad? Yes, they will become convinced. Sandra and Martha were getting freaked out. What's going to happen to our position if his father finds out about this? The kid's not only preaching, but he's telling everybody else what to do. So your first one is chapter 5 is what? And what's he doing in chapter 6? He's instructing his demoniac schoolmates. Now they say, Prahlad, nobody's allowed in the compound. Nobody's allowed here. Vishnu, how did you learn all this? It's not easy to have saintly association in the company of demons. They don't hang out with saints. They hang out with demons. How did you learn all this, Prahlad? So we're going to find out in chapter 7. What's chapter 7?
What
Prahlad Yes, Krishna consciousness starts then. So who's ever expecting children, you should read Bhagavatam before they take birth. Because that will affect, they'll hear it. They hear the Bhagavatam. There are many parents who read Bhagavatam to their children. So let's go again. What's number 5? And what does he do in 6? And now where did he learn all the instructions? Prahlad learned in the world. He learned it from Narada. And his mother heard it too, but she didn't remember. He did. Alright, so now tell your neighbors the 3 topics. We have to get 100%. Everybody here before we retire. Now you just want to rush. How about you? 100%? You only have 100%? How about Malini and Shama? 100%?
She's just starting to tell us.
Everybody got 100%? Okay, let's quickly go because we have to get this next one. It's only 3. And what's this one? Shrinkage. And how many eyelashes? Remember? 3. Remember because it was 4, 3, 3, 5. 3 topics. And the Shrinkage name appears how many times? 2 times. In which numbers? Let's look at the numbers. Starts with 8, 9, and 10. Where do we see the Shrinkage's name?
8 and 9.
8 and 9. Okay. 8 and 9. So we see the Shrinkages. Now chapter 8 is very dramatic. Everybody hears that on the Shrinkage's appearance.
Yes.
What is the title of chapter 8?
Lord Shrinkadev slays the king of demons.
Right, Lord Shrinkadev slays. So everybody has he comes to slay the king of the demons. Right? He comes and he does it with his nails. Lord When Shrinadev slays the king of the demons, and what happens in chapter 9? There's a triple P for that code. P. There are 3 Prahlad, pacifies prayer. How does he pacify this big demon? That big war? Scary. Even Lakshmi won't go near him. But Prahlad's not afraid. Prahlad pacifies. Mind you, he's roaring to the point where Lakshmi says, I'm not going. The little Prahlad goes up and with his prayers, he pacifies. And then their Shrinadev starts purring like a kitten. And he puts his hand. This is purity. That's purity. Prahlad pacifies. Right. He doesn't say, okay, come on, be quiet. He prays to him. And what happens in 10? We're going to hear more about Prahlad. We're going to put an E for exalted. Because Prahlad is not just the best of ordinary devotees. Prahlad is considered the best among what kind? Exalted devotees. That's the key word, exalted. So the first one is Shrinadev. Now what does Prahlad do? And now Prahlad is considered exalted devotees. Quickly tell your neighbor 3. So we have to rush. These are easy. See if you know 3 more. It's a good test. This gives you a good flow for this canto. So you can recite the chapter titles, you can access your mind, the information.
I forget when we need anything
Nice meditation for the brain. And you can see throughout the day, you can think of something not what it is, the chapter titles.
Chapter 10.
Remember, thinking of Krishna means content. Put something in to come out. 100% over here. 100% here. 100%. Yes. 100. I'm on this one. Everybody clear the test? All right, the last one, Sinji. Very easy for the last one. Because we have the word perfect. Perfect. Ideal and civilized. Okay. So this is B for Vanashram. This is a very good reference for what are the requirements for the Vanashram system. And how many chapters do you remember? What's 5? So how many eyelashes do we have? 5. Remember, this is a study skill. And just do a simple module like this. I have to remember something, I'll make a circle, the code, put the number of points I want to remember, use the code, and then it's easy to reference, right? So now we're going to have the word perfect. How many times? 3 times. Let's put the numbers before we do that. Where will we start with the number? 11, then 13, and how will we end? 15. Jai, 7:15.
We have 10 times.
Okay? And how many times do we say perfect?
3
times. So we say 1, 2, 3. 3 times perfect. And after we say perfect, we say something that means perfect.
Ideal.
Yes, perfect. Ideal. And the last one is going to be civilized. Yes, civilized people. The planet does not have civilized people, for the most part. It's less than animals. The more you read the papers, the more horrific it is. 11, 12, 13, you have perfect. 14, you have ideal. 15, the key word is civilized. Civilized. All right. So now, the first one is called the perfect society, and 12 is also called the perfect society. And the varnashram is 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. So here they use the word classes, I think, right? So 11 is the perfect society, 4 social classes. Yeah, S for both social and spiritual. But first you get the social classes, and then you get the spiritual classes. So 12 is the perfect society for spiritual. Social. Is it the first social? Did I say 11? Is it social? Oh, spiritual. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. And then it's social, right? But then it's social. 12 is spiritual. Okay. Maybe I said the wrong number, but social is the first one. 11 is social, 12 is spiritual. All you do is change those words. So you have the perfect society for 11. Social classes. And for 12, you say perfect society for spiritual classes. And for the next one, is the perfect for what? The perfect behavior of a perfect person. We'll hear about that personality because Prahlad goes and meets him and he's the Python. Behavior of the perfect person. Behavior of the perfect person. And the 14 is a nice one. Ideal family life. Who doesn't want that? So many devotees go into the Grihastha ashram, right? This is a good chapter. Ideal family life. And you'll get the prescription here. Everybody wants to have an ideal family, right? You don't want to have a son that's a problem and, a mother-in-law that's a headache. Everybody wants ideal family life. So the Bhagavatam gives you the code. So let's revise. The perfect society for
social classes,
perfect person. Now, I thought we cannot imitate. You read about him, he's special. He's a Paramahamsa. We can't imitate that. 14 is what everybody wants. And Krishna consciousness is a family. Don't we want an ideal society?
Yes.
Ideal family?
Yes.
Prabhupada's family? No fighting, no envy, no politics?
No.
How about 15? What's that going to be? Instruction to all civilized human beings. We're not talking about, people that, open slaughterhouses by the million. Okay, can you tell your partners really fast? This is our last one. Do you want to read it?
Instruction for
See if you can do all 15 with your study partner. She's running downstairs to get my glasses. And then take out your condensed so we can do some selective reading. The next stage is to go into text. So take out your Dr. Tom, if you have a copy. It's the acid test. 12:15. Raise your hands if you're studying group in 5 o'clock, then cover the objectives, right? We call this instruction and objectives. Good. He's smiling too. Okay, open up your books now. We're going to cut short our testing assessment period. Remember, as you walk out the door and you march home tonight, you say chapter 1. The Greek word is equal to everything. Chapter 2. The king is a teacher. You know, it's better than, worrying about, oh, what that person just said about me. It's just useless. Just think about something transcendental. It's what will really get you back to Godhead. That's the whole purpose of these classes, helping everybody get back to Godhead. My book is an older one, so we have to reference the page I turned to is 234. Now, usually these books that you have are like 236. And this section of Prahlad's instructions is quoted by Srila Prabhupada time and time again. These 3 chapters you'll hear even in Prahlad the Saintly Son of the King of the Demons or Hiranyakashipu. You'll hear instructions in chapter 5, you'll hear instructions in chapter 6, in Swami, and you'll clearly hear instructions in chapter 7. Because he's reciting now what Narada taught him. Narada gives him the whole philosophy. So So we're going to read, I think, a very sweet section. I mean, there are many pages here. And even in our reading, it's interactive. We use our little finger. I read, and when I stop, everybody else says the next word. That keeps the people on their toes. We can't all read together, it'll be like chaos. So I read, and when I stop, you say the next word. That means you have to follow. Mine cannot go to, MBT. I wonder if they're open now. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry too. Don't worry, we have food. Try to answer all that. Okay, I am going to begin with a line that says, by executing these activities, one can cut down the influence. Now, I'm on page 234. Maybe for you it's 236. Can you find that line?
Yes.
Yeah.
By executing these activities, all right? So remember, all you have to do is pipe in with one word. That means you're forced to focus, and you're forced to be attentive. And use your little finger. Meditation. Right. 237. Last paragraph. Right. 36. Are we ready to go?
Yes.
By executing these
Activities.
one can cut down the
Influence
of the enemies, namely
Lust,
anger,
greed, illusion,
And then we.
Good, everybody piped in on all six there. It's a Raj Boga offering. It's one platter. All six on the plate. And then attain the platform of loving service unto the Supreme
Lord.
When such a liberated hears the
Glory
of the Lord, his bodily hair stands on
And
tears fall from his
eyes.
and his voice
Wonders.
Is that true of all of you?
No.
No. It should be. Sometimes he openly
Yes.
and loudly
Sings.
and sometimes he
Cries.
In this way, the devotee appears to be
Omnipotent.
by a
Ghost.
because he forgets all social
Etiquette.
and while chanting and dancing like a
Madman.
Does that happen to anybody here? No. Oh, we got a way to go. Now here's the one that's hope. This is the paragraph. Due to constant thinking of the Lord's
Pastimes.
of your devotees
Mind.
and
Body.
become
Spiritualized.
See how you do it? Being thus
Converted.
the devotee's mind and
Body.
no longer act
And
as
spirit.
and that's hopeful. Because of the intensity of his devotional
Service.
all of the devotee's material
Desires.
become completely
Burned.
to
Ashes.
Wow, that's a nice promise. This is the
Exalted
stage at which one can achieve the shelter of the Supreme Lord's lotus
Feet.
Oh, now you know the secret. This is a secret paragraph. Therefore, my dear friends, begin immediately to
Meditate
upon the Supreme Lord and worship
Him.
who is situated within everyone's
Heart.
Well, that's important. Not just a few, everybody's heart. The Supreme Lord is the well-wishing
Friend.
of all living
Beings.
and thus there's no
Difficulty.
in worshiping
Him.
Right, he's everywhere. He's not just downstairs. Right? For what reason should people, hey, everybody's asleep, a few people are awake, not engage in his devotional
Service.
and instead become
Addicted.
to producing so much artificial
Paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia, that's a big word. For sense,
Gratification.
what's well, wife and children his, residence, and all other
Possessions
are all
Temporary.
and
Flickering.
what benefit can these material
Assets.
give to a
Sensible.
who has understood himself to be
Eternal.
What's the point? Something's temporary, flickering, and you're eternal? You know, that's a funny trade-off. Even heavenly elevation is
Temporary.
and therefore not the real
Goal of
In this world, everyone is striving to increase
Happiness.
and diminish
Distress.
Now, wait for the next line. The truth is,
However,
that one is
happy.
only so long as he does not endeavor for
Happiness.
Uh-oh, everybody's got it wrong. What's everybody trying to do? And if you try to be happy, what happens?
You're not happy.
The opposite. That's why people don't, they haven't figured it out. And it says here, this is what happens. As soon as one commences his activities to achieve
Happiness.
his condition of distress,
Release.
that's a good line to read. You should write that down in your notebooks. This is the key. The living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous fruitive work, and thus he
Suffers.
Uh-oh, what's that word again?
Suffers.
Suffers. In various
Ways.
Therefore, please tell me, after due
Consideration.
what is the living entity's actual
Interest.
and fruitive
Activities.
Yeah, why do it if it's just going to bring suffering? My dear friends, the Supreme Personality of God is the
Soul.
of all
Souls.
and every living being is his eternal
Parcel.
Therefore, he is the
Dearest
person and should be
Worship.
without
Worship.
following in the
Footsteps.
of pure
Devotees.
anyone who takes to the devotional service of the
God.
DEA,
Demigod.
or anyone else, he will become
Situated.
in the most
Auspicious.
condition of
Life.
just like
Ourselves.
Look at that. That's a heavy list. Rakshasas, demons, and even they can be situated in that perfect. The Supreme Lord cannot be pleased simply by one's becoming imperfect, vastly, and well
Behaved.
nor can he be pleased merely by the performance of
Austerity.
sacrifice and the giving of
Charity.
or by any other
Means.
only unalloyed
Devotional
service
service.
can satisfy the Supreme
Lord.
Therefore, my dear
Friends.
just as one favorably sees himself and takes care of
Himself.
you should take to devotional
Service.
so that you can satisfy the Supreme Personality of
Godhead.
This much
Alone.
is the ultimate
Goal.
of
Life.
Did you see that sentence? You should write that one down in your notebook. As explained by all the revealed
Scriptures.
and confirmed by the great
Acharyas.
all the demon sons appreciated Prahlad's transcendental
Instruction.
took them very
Seriously.
As a result, they rejected Shanda and Amarka's
Materialistic
teachings.
When the two teachers saw how their students were becoming advanced in Krishna
Consciousness.
due to Prahlad's association,
They became very afraid.
So it is now 5 o'clock. Well, your appetite for studying the 7th canto is created by Prahlad's teachings are fantastic. We have, first of all, before we put our things away, we have a little offering of some fruit to Maharaj. So we're going to ask Raga if he can get that. Because I hear he's very austere. He's very he's very sincere. Everybody when you get a lot of people going to the lecture, it's usually because the speaker is quite sincere. Okay, don't let it fall out. So Maharaj, we didn't know what you preferred to take, but we just got some fruit for you. And it's in a little bag. Here you go.
What bag?
Inside, yeah. Be careful it doesn't fall all over your lap. And if there's something there you don't care for, later you can distribute it. And there's a little bit of Maha sweet there. And somebody brought me tasting things for Radhe Shyam going to speak. So that's a little offering from all of us for you. Okay, and then all the rest of the people here will be getting
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming. I mean, we don't usually get such exalted. Everybody is exalted, but this is really interesting. And he is, I think, very well appreciated. handouts on the 7th Canto. But we're going to ask you to return all other materials in your trays. Okay, make sure the landing snakes and books don't mistakenly pack something that is classroom material. Make sure you have your own things packed. Don't leave your things behind. And the prashadam is being passed out to all of our other participants. But in Bhakti Gita, every sacrifice requires prashadam. Otherwise, it's not going to be used. Those of you who have charts, you may keep your charts. Maharaj may keep his charts. And you should have a protection sheet. That way you can keep your charts in a filing system. You can help Maharaj get everything, but he's probably not used to all this paraphernalia. But some of our students, Maharaj, keep study material. And that other one I gave you is our line map on our philosophy here. This one, Maharaj, this is our knowledge objectives, skills objectives, and values objectives. And all of the source material we use for that. And then on the back, the recommendation for executing those objectives. So that's here in the handout on how we do things. As I say, it's all research-based. It's nothing that's just something. You can keep those. And Maharaj pack those as well. Thank you for coming, Maharaj. Yes, we feel honored to have all of you. How's your son doing? Uploading the books and some people
He said it's SP plus and all, so maybe he does not SP and
Thank you for coming. You know, we gave you your little books. This is our study guide to the Gita. And this was what we did for last year. It's a glorification of Prabhupada, but it's also a little skills handbook for tips on how to write essays or tips on simple reading tips. As many students are not so skilled, so they're faced with all that homework and essay homework. We try to get through those and increase in that. Our program is to try to it's different, right? You see, for many years, I taught in America. I taught in special situations. I was in ghetto schools, manufacturers of 5 years. There in Miraculous, I was having to teach ESL, and use a special laboratory system, which is the same thing I interact with all barriers. So it's sort of ingrained in us to teach this way. But statistically, it was shown, especially as how youth advances, that most people understand how their minds are disturbed, attention skills are strong, forget basic and so these kinds of systems often become set ways to manage and I got to teach the scientists our condition is to sit here. That's a picture from the book. This was by Neil Parkin.
I asked the visitors who don't know where they are.